What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the happiest hour on earth. We are at the start of our new series of our best ofs, basically. So this is our kickoff episode. We're going to be going through a lot of our favorites over the next couple of weeks, but tonight we're starting with our favorite rides in Disneyland. So this is going to be our must-dos. You know, a lot of you listening might be Disneyland natives, so let us know what your must-dos are. Drop a comment or hit us up on Instagram. Let us know what rides you cannot miss when you're in the park. If you're in Disney World and you've never been to Disneyland, then hopefully you find this helpful. So we're really excited to break all these down with you guys and chat. So let's go ahead and get started.
All right, so before we jump in, we did make a drink tonight, and we have a really exciting drink for next week. We're going to be talking about the Disney World must-do rides, and we have some really fun like tiki mugs that we're going to be using, like the ones from the park. Yeah, souvenir mugs, and so we're super excited for that. But this week, we've already made so many Disneyland drinks that are our favorite. But we did do one from one of our favorite places, which is Lamplight Lounge.
Which we've also already made a lot of drinks from, but we've never made this one. So this was a first.
Yeah, so this is the over budget. This is pretty much a
Moscow
Mule with passion fruit and with agave syrup. And so it does have a little bit of a twist there. We have not had this in the parks. We love a lot of the drinks at Lamplight Lounge, so we're like, let's go ahead and make this because a Moscow Mule is so delicious.
So good.
And with that, should we go ahead and cheers? Let's try.
Cheers. It's good.
Yeah, it's good.
It's a little watered down at this point.
Yeah,
it's been a few minutes since it was made, so the ice got to it a little bit, but it is tasty. It's refreshing.
That's really good. I feel like you could even bump up the passion fruit just a little bit.
I do taste the ginger beer a lot.
Yeah.
Because I don't think, once again, that we actually had the exact ratios before we made it. It was just kind of like the ingredients. Yeah. So we had to estimate.
Yeah, I feel like if you bump that up just a little bit on the passion fruit syrup, it could actually taste it kind of just tastes like a Moscow Mule in my mind with a little bit of a fruitiness.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you bump it up just a little bit, and I wish I knew the ratios, but it's probably a little over 1 ounce of the passion fruit, because this is 1 ounce, and I don't really get it too much, but
yeah, I don't taste too much of the passion fruit. I think maybe we could have added a little bit more.
Or something. Yeah,
You're
that
right.
is really tasty though.
Yeah,
I'm a fan.
It's good.
I'm a fan. So as we jump into this episode, and actually, cool thing, we're talking about Disneyland. You're wearing a new Main Street Social Club shirt that came out.
Another Park Hop Tees.
Yeah, so amazing.
Killing it again.
A new style of the Main Street Social Club, which is just an awesome shirt.
Yes.
And then we're getting a Star Wars shirt from that recent drop recently. So
which they're running out of fast. If you haven't seen already, those ones are going quick.
Oh yeah. So use our code happiest15, save, and just get some awesome Disney shirts.
Yeah, they have so many good ones, you guys. Go check them out.
Check them out. And so as we jump into this, we are going to start with, we were thinking about how we want to break this down. And we could have done it by a multitude of different ways to break it down. But we wanted to just break it down kind of by height, just because some people might be going
with family,
with kids, or just a couple that wants to just hit up all the big rides. So we thought a good way to do it is to break it down by height, and a lot that fall within this any height category, which we're going to talk about first, are classics that you need to actually hit.
Yeah.
And so we're going to discuss whether this ride is at Disney World as well. So if you've already kind of done it, what are the differences, all this stuff. But let's just jump into this. All
right.
First thing you should know, any height does not necessarily mean any age. There are some rides in this list that might be a little bit too intense for your kid.
Just spooky, a little too spooky.
So you know your kid the best, and you can look at videos if you want, but they can go on it if they want to, but if they're not ready for it, then that's totally fine. But the first one that we have on this list is the Disneyland Railroad. right when you walk in.
Such a classic.
The Disneyland Railroad is so special. We don't do it every single trip that we go to Disneyland, but Walt's love for, I feel like, for entertainment in general started with trains. He had a whole train track around his house that you could actually sit on and ride around, and he loved trains like throughout his whole entire life. And so that was something that he definitely wanted in the park, and to be able to, you know, go on this train that during the opening video of Disneyland, like during the opening, he came in on the train and like waved to everyone and all this stuff, and it goes around the entire park. And to see the park from that vantage point, and just kind of sit and relax and soak it in, is just really, really special. So definitely a must at Disneyland.
Definitely. Yeah. I agree. I want to make it a thing every time we're on a trip. I think maybe at this point we will, because we have our little son now. Yeah. And I think he's going to love trains more and more as he grows up. And it is so special. This last time we went on it, and it was like, it's so great to just see everything like from that one spot you're sitting in. Like, it's just such a fun way to see the park.
For sure.
So next up we have on our list is the Jungle Cruise. Yeah, which you're sure I am actually wearing a Jungle Cruise tonight. Shirt. Yeah, Jungle Cruise is one of the like originals. Was it an opening day? I always forget if that was an opening day.
You know what? There was a lot of videos in Imagineering.
I know.
The Imagineering
I've
story
watched all
when they were building that before the park was even there. So
I think it was an opening day. I'll double check as I'm talking about it. But regardless, it's been there for a long time, and it's such a special ride. It's just so fun. It's like, you know, it's not a thrill ride, but it's just, it is.
It was, opening day attraction.
Opening day attraction. Killer ride. Even more special. And it's just so fun. Like the jokes, we all love those, you know, those jokers, the Jungle Crew, skippers, they're the best. And it's just such a great ride. You know, I mean, I don't know what else to say. I just love going through, and it's relaxing. Like, you just get to kind of hang out and listen to the jokes and see all the sights with the animals, and it's just so fun.
Yeah, and Disney World does have Jungle Cruise as well. I think it is a little bit longer and has more things to see and do, which is amazing. But the fact that Jungle Cruise is an opening day attraction, that is the original one, and to ride that is very special. We also got hit up. We got hit up by someone. I think someone you actually knew. I have to think about it again. But I think it was her husband's grandfather was one of the original skippers. And apparently legend goes that some of his jokes that he ad-libbed during that time got implemented into what they use today. So maybe we'll have to get some stories from her. That'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah,
so,
I know.
Yeah, that'd be so cool. So, and we're kind of doing this in order. If you go into the parks and you go left, Disneyland Railroad is right there. Jungle Cruise is going to be like in Adventureland right to your left.
That's what we always do when we go. Always, if you've never listened to us before, we always go in and go left.
Always via left. Yeah.
Always Adventureland first.
And after Adventureland, you're going to find yourself in New Orleans Square. And this is where Pirates of the Caribbean is. Also found in Walt Disney World. I do believe our version is better. I do love the queue for Walt Disney Worlds, but this Disneyland just seems more in depth. So if you are coming from Walt Disney World and no Pirates of the Caribbean there, I would still ride this version because it is an original, and it just feels. I just feel like I'm more invested in the story. At Disneyland. But if you have not been to the parks before, this is a ride that Walt Disney used to. I don't even think I think it opened after he died. I have to check it. But he was all about the technology and the animatronics that were
definitely
there in the
part
ride.
Of it, of the creation of it. He was,
and he would always walk around, walk his wife around the ride before it was even done, and they would see all the animatronics. But this was like a big deal to him, and it is like one of the most immersive rides ever, especially for being such an old ride.
And such a long ride, which is so nice. It's like 15 minutes long, I think, if I recall. And sometimes the line is long for it, sometimes not. But either way, like when you have a
Sometimes
ride
it's really quick, which is nice.
Sometimes it's really fast, yeah, because the boats are going so fast, and so the line just moves really fast. But I mean, even if it is a long wait, it's so worth it.
Yeah.
It is such a classic, and it's a long, you know, like your time is well spent on the ride, so you know it's worth it to wait in the line usually.
For sure. And I did just check; it did come out in '67, which is 1 year after Walt did pass.
That's right.
So he never actually got to see it open. But I mean, in all the videos you see of Disneyland, he has like the animatronic heads and the sculptures and everything.
Yeah.
He was just so excited for this ride to open. So
I know.
Definitely had a lot of Walt influence on it.
So sad that I didn't get to see it. Like,
I
seriously
know.
breaks my heart because it is like, it's everyone's favorite.
Yeah.
It's such a classic.
Yeah. Can't go wrong with that. With Pirates.
Okay, and that brings us to our next one, which is also in New Orleans Square, and it's Haunted Mansion. A little bit more spooky. So, like, if you're going with your kids, you want to consider if they're going to find it scary or not. I mean, obviously, it's not like that scary.
Yeah.
It's more silly scary. So you don't have to be like too worried, but some kids, you know, might find it a little creepy. But it is such a classic as well. I think that's another one that he didn't get to see.
Yeah, it was there for a while.
It was like vacant. Yeah.
What is this mansion doing here? And
And
they
then
paused on everything.
because It's a Small World was being built, and that's where all
right.
the focus got put during that time. So Haunted Mansion got put on
for
hold.
the World's Fair. Yeah,
And so he missed the opening of Haunted
Mansion, I know.
Mansion, which is so sad. But it's such a good ride.
yeah, and Haunted Mansion. Obviously, Disney World has this one as well, but to see some of the effects that they did in I believe it was still 60s, maybe it was like right near the 70s as well. But to see some of these effects, like the people ballroom dancing, like literal ghost ballroom dancing, like how they figured that out so long ago. And today we're like the age of technology. We're doing so much nowadays, but there were so many cool effects that they came up with at that time. Where it's like, how did they come up with this? The Imagineers were genius and amazing.
Yep, they always have been.
And so, yeah, this is definitely a must-do when you're at the parks, whether you've been on it or not at Disney World. Definitely a must-do.
Totally.
Next up, we have, don't laugh at us. We do have this on here, and this is depending on who you are, right? It's a small world as you go into Fantasyland. Not for everyone. We do not ride it that much. Once we brought our son, we do ride this, you know, every time we go into the parks because he does love it. There is so much history behind It's a Small World. The way that Walt was building this for the World's Fair, and the way he brought, you know, so many kids from all these different countries to be the first ones to ride it.
So cool.
To, you know, have this boat ride structure and having the Sherman Brothers write the music to this and everything. It is such a classic. The outside facade is so great.
Yeah.
With the clock that comes out every 15 minutes, I think. Such a classic. So if you haven't done it before, definitely ride it. If you have kids, you're definitely going to ride this.
Yeah.
You might just want to ride it once and then be like, I did it. Cool. Depending on who you are. But we did want to have it on the must-do list because it is so classic.
It is. It's so nostalgic. I mean, yeah, we can joke about how creepy it is that it's just a bunch of dolls. But, like, I mean, the concept of it is so really beautiful. And I seriously have gained a whole new appreciation for it ever since we went on it for the first time with our son. It was just like a very magical experience. And he loves it. And just getting to go on it and watch it through his eyes was really special. And then I don't know, I just thought about how beautiful that concept really is that Walt, even back then, was like so passionate about. Like, just
you bring the world together.
Yes, like let's just get along, you know. And I do love it. It's, you know, it never was a favorite, but it's
you gain a whole new appreciation for it.
I do love it.
I feel like, yeah.
Exactly. So next up we have Peter Pan's Flight. I'm a big Peter Pan fan. So for me, it's definitely a favorite, but it's also
it has
an extremely long wait every single time you're going to try to go on
and
it.
a very boring wait.
Very boring queue.
Just switch back and forth.
One of my biggest
outside.
pet peeves with Disneyland is that they can't just get a better queue for Peter Pan.
I know.
It's literally never shorter than like a half-hour long wait. And then the ride itself is like 5 minutes long. Or like maybe not even, probably less.
Maybe not even.
Probably like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And as much as I wish I could go on it every time, I don't anymore. And I love Peter Pan so much, but it's I still think that it is a classic and it is a must do because Peter Pan just encapsulates everything Disney.
Yeah.
So I think it's worth it to go at least once. Maybe you don't go every time like us now, but it's definitely worth it. And then if you get Genie Plus, does it not work with Fantasyland rides?
I don't believe so. Yeah, I know.
So dumb.
I mean, the other thing too, even though it is a long wait, Peter Pan is an opening day attraction, which is really, really crazy to think about that it has been open since 1955. I think it's one of the most innovative ride systems in Fantasyland. Now, a lot of them have gotten updates, which do include like really cool projections that just kind of like feel really good with the physical environments that are there.
Yeah.
So I think you should definitely check out a lot of other Fantasyland rides as well.
Yeah,
but Peter Pan, like the fact that you're suspended and you're looking down at everything, if you have not done it before, is so incredible. And if you are coming from Disney World, their queue is a lot better. But I mean, to be on a ride that was literally 1955, it is very special. But other dark rides, these aren't on our list because I don't think they're necessarily as must do as Peter Pan, but Snow White's Enchanted Wish is super amazing. Pinocchio,
Alice,
scary,
seriously,
Alice, yeah, I would put Alice before Pinocchio.
Yeah, I just was thinking in that like vicinity, but
Mr.
Alice
Toad is another opening day. You do go to hell in it. It is very warm.
It's very warm.
It's a weird ride. I mean, right? It's called Mr. Toad's Wild
Ride.
Right. Yeah. So it is wild. So I would not necessarily put these on must do's as much as Peter Pan, even though that line is terrible.
Yeah.
But check them out if you have time.
Yeah. Fantasyland is like, I feel like I still adore Fantasyland. I'm not trying to say I don't, but I think I used to love it more because I feel like I've just realized like how congested that area is now. And like, I mean, it's a little bit chaotic. And yes, a lot of the rides are worth it. And it is such a like something just so nostalgic about that land, I think, to me. Like it just feels like I'm walking around in the, 50s. Yeah. Sometimes, but yeah, it's also just a little bit much at times.
And if you are a Disney World person listening to this, the Fantasyland in Disneyland is a lot different than the Fantasyland in Disney World. So it's definitely worth going to. Once they did that refurb in the 80s and you got this like more, I feel like almost like French kind of architecture and British, just like old kind of timey feel that wasn't there when it originally opened in the 50s. Yeah. It feels like you're in a quaint little village in Fantasyland. And I love that so much. Yeah. So definitely worth checking out.
Also has Dumbo and Casey Jr. and like some of the other like it is very kid ride centered, but like really special.
Definitely a must. Yeah. So we do have one all ages ride that is a must in California Adventure. So if you haven't park hopped at Disneyland before, it's like a 30-second walk to the other park, which is
very
so
different
nice.
from Disney World.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. So over there we do have in the any height range, Midway Mania. I think Midway Mania is just such a fun ride that it's, if you don't know Midway Mania, maybe do because you've been to Disney World, or maybe because you've been to Disneyland, but it is a game and a ride mixed into one. Really fun. It's almost like a 4D, a 4D adventure, right? Like you're shooting at things, but you feel the air come at you. It's 3D, and it's just a really fun ride that I think is definitely a must. And like as we were coming up with this list, we're like, what would people be bummed if they didn't do, right? If you're going to the parks and you can't fit everything in, but you definitely want to hit up all the top ones. I think if you haven't done this ride before, it's definitely a must. It's pretty much the exact same as Disney World. So if you're coming from Disney World and haven't been to Disneyland before, you could skip it. Definitely not as cool of a queue as Disney World, but if you have not been on Midway Mania before, this would be great.
It is. Yeah, it's so fun. I've personally, sorry if you hate me for this, but I've always been much more a fan of Midway Mania than Buzz Astro Blasters. I've just always been really, really, really bad at
fighting
Astro Blasters.
I know.
I know a lot of you guys love it, and I'm sorry, but I've just always enjoyed Midway Mania more. It's just like easier and more fun and like engaging to me. Yeah. So I love Midway Mania, and even though the line can also be insane and we don't make it on every single trip, especially now with our child, it's still such a fun ride / game. Like more game than ride, I think, but I love it.
It's so much fun.
It's so fun, and I just love Toy Story in general.
It's
big favorite.
It is the staple of Pixar.
It is.
Yeah, so good.
And I'm so glad that they got that right.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And we also had a poll on Instagram like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, leading up to doing this episode, because we wanted to get our Instagram followers' opinions on these topics. What are some must-dos? And so for the category of any height, we asked people Pirates, Peter Pan, Jungle Cruise, or Haunted Mansion. What is the favorite? What's a must-do? Pirates of the Caribbean reigned supreme. It won. Next,
they got 38%.
Yeah, 38%. And then Peter Pan was next at 31%.
That's actually pretty close.
Pretty close. Yeah, I'm actually surprised.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised that like
the last place.
Yeah, the last exactly. Jungle Cruise came in third at 21%, and Haunted Mansion came in fourth at 10%.
I think 10% is pretty low, but I think the way I framed the question was best all ages ride instead of any height ride. Oh. So some people probably thought, like Haunted Mansion isn't for every age.
That's true.
Haunted Mansion is very, 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 very classic. So I think that 10% could be bumped up, definitely.
Yeah.
So next, actually, do you want to get this one? Then I'll go.
Sure. Yeah.
Actually, I'll just explain. Yeah, the next one that we have is kind of your like mid-tier height. So this is about 40 inches, and a lot of rides, that's like the big goal you want to reach as a kid, is 40 inches. Just because it opens yourself up to like a lot of new rides. If you're going with your family and you have kids that are a little bit older, these are going to be some like new rides that they could definitely enjoy. A little more thrill, which is really exciting. Or let's say yourself, maybe you aren't like the biggest thrill seeker, but you do want a little bit of a thrill, then this is a good category for you. I feel like a lot of Disney rides fall within this like 40 inches, like mid-range to higher range rides. So yeah. With that, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, sure. So first up is Splash Mountain. And as we all at this point probably know, Splash Mountain is going to be gone pretty soon. They actually did announce when... Did they announce?
2024, I believe.
Is when...
Princess and the Frog.
When it will like open.
When it will actually open.
So we're not sure when it's going to close yet. I'm sure it's going to need like at least a year for refurb.
Yeah. I believe they're probably working on a lot of things offsite, and then they'll have to bring it in. Yeah.
So for now, Splash Mountain is still there, and it is also a favorite and a classic. We will miss it, but we are excited for Princess and the Frog.
And I think Princess and the Frog will definitely be a must. Like,
yeah,
it'll stay.
I think it will too, and it's going to be a similar type of ride, like the exact same thing, just different theme. So this is probably going to remain true once that opens as well. But it's a fun, it's a little thrilling because there's some drops. There's like a couple drops. You get wet, which is really fun if it's a hot day. But it is a must do, I would say. It's one of my favorites. I feel like, especially if it's like towards the end of the day and I like don't care if I just kind of get wet and I'm like tired and hot already. It's like I have to go on Splash Mountain.
Oh, for sure.
It is such a favorite, and the songs in it are some of my favorites. It's just all around such a great ride.
Yeah, it's definitely a must do. Even though it wasn't like one of the first log flume rides, it is the most classic
and the most fun. I would probably have to say.
For sure. I feel like a lot of those types of rides are just like put them in something, you're in a log, and
there's
then you
no
drop
story
into
to it. There's like a whole storyline to follow in Splash Mountain, which makes
a lot of dark ride elements.
Yeah,
to it,
exactly. It's like a dark ride mixed with a drop ride. So really fun. Definitely go on that. And is there so that is a 40 incher.
That is a 40 incher. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So if you're 40 inches or above,
jump on it.
Mountain.
And Disneyland's is pretty cool because unlike Disney World's, you have no seatbelt.
So you can feel like you're like gonna fly on out of that log when you go down the drops.
Yeah, Disney World's you're like sitting next to someone, and then Disneyland's you're just
single row
right there. Before,
no
I don't even think that there's backrests like way back in the day. I think you just like legit.
Really? Oh my gosh, I'm glad.
I'm trying to remember, but I think you just almost like Matterhorn back in the day. You just kind of like laid in someone's lap.
Oh yeah, that would not be fun.
I remember that as a kid, but yeah,
everybody's getting wet, and you're just like uncomfortable and wet. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So next up, as you continue on your journey to the left, we're gonna find ourselves in Galaxy's Edge. Now, this ride isn't like it's the exact same in Disney World. And it's a really fun ride. I don't go on it every single time I'm in the park. But if you have not ridden this ride before, Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run is such a cool experience. Like the ride portion itself is good. It is good. But I think what's even better is seeing the Millennium Falcon up close, being in like kind of that holding area. Within the actual Falcon, I was about to say lobby. What would you call that? the main like section before you get into the cockpit. And everything is so authentic. Once you actually go into the cockpit as well, it looks like you're actually. It's wild. It is so crazy. The ride itself is pretty much you just hitting things along the way while you're trying to do something, and it's just kind of chaotic and crazy. But to be in the Millennium Falcon is definitely a must if you have not before. So we had to add this to our must-do list because if you are a Star Wars fan, you are going to want to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is amazing.
I actually have not been on it yet.
She was pregnant.
Which is sad to say.
A couple times ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't. Yeah.
Yeah, I just have not made my way onto it yet. I don't know why, but it is a must-do for you. So that's why I had to get onto the list.
Yeah, for sure. The first time we went after you were pregnant, we had no grandparents to help us with the baby. So we couldn't do that one. And then last time it was just always a long line. So we just kind of skipped it. But we'll do it again.
Yeah.
But you did get to see a lot of the inside of the Millennium Falcon.
I did. When I was pregnant, I did wait in most of the line with our group. So I got to just like go inside and see it. And yes, it was very immersive and realistic and incredible. So next time we're there, I'm just making it a point. I'm going on it. Okay. Yeah. It's finally going to happen.
It is.
But I did get to go on the next one, which we're about to talk about, which is Rise of the Resistance, also in Galaxy's Edge. On another level of immersion and just excitement and fun. Yeah. It's like, I mean, I don't know of any other ride that captures so many elements that a ride should have. Like,
Yeah. That was like legit almost brought me to tears. 'Cause I was thinking about all the. Yeah, I mean, you're going to talk about it, but just the whole experience as a whole is just, it's incredible.
yeah, it's insane what they did for that ride. Like, I've been on it, I guess, twice now.
Well, we did the first part of it like 10 times because it kept bringing down.
Yeah,
But
we were there like when it had newly opened and there were a lot of technical issues. So we got in line multiple times and it broke down before we got on.
Yeah.
Now it's good. It
Yeah.
seems like I don't think it breaks down as often, but I have been on it once or twice. I can't recall now,
I think twice because we went on it.
I think twice.
Last time.
Yeah. So just such an experience. It's like the queue, the ride itself, like everything about it is just incredible. It's so immersive. I mean, you really truly feel like you got captured and you're on the ship, like it's about to get interrogated and then you're escaping. Like it's hard to explain. Like you really just have to experience it to know what we're talking about. So definitely a must do.
Yeah, and I don't want to give any spoilers away if you have not been on it. It's the same as Disney World, so like you've been on it there, you don't need to do it here unless you want to because it's amazing. But yeah, everything from the start to finish is unlike any. It's immersion to the next level. Like it is crazy. This is a ride that, depending on how many days you're going, and let's say you're going for a very short time and you don't want to spend all of your day waiting in line because the line does get very long. I would say this is definitely still a must, and that you should probably, even though we hate lightning lanes and Genie Plus, probably for one day get the lightning lane for this so that you could try it. And you could skip a lot of that line. If you're there for, a longer period, 3 or more days or something, and you're fine waiting an hour and a half.
Who knows how long? It could be anything.
Find ways to entertain yourself in the line and do it. But yeah, if you're there for a shorter time, definitely get a lightning lane for this because you won't be disappointed.
Yeah, totally worth it.
Yeah. So as you exit Star Wars Land, you're going to find yourself in Frontierland. Big Thunder Mountain here. Awesome ride. I think this is a very cool, like, I don't know. It's not too intense.
Yeah.
Like
it's like the perfect roller coaster for like a new rider, a new roller coaster rider. Like that's just at the right height now. Like it's a good intro roller coaster.
It's not scary. There's a lot of like cool animals to look at. All this stuff.
Fun. It's just straight up
fun. Yeah. And I think ours is definitely better than Disney World's. I mean, we have this like explosion room at the end with these like smoke effects that are really, really cool. So if you are coming from Disney World, you know what to expect there. But yeah, really, really fun ride. We would suggest once you get up where the trains are, and this is one reason why we wanted to do this best of series is because a couple people have gone who haven't been to Disneyland in a long time. They hit us up, said, hey, what do we need to do? And this was kind of our list. But when I talked about Big Thunder Mountain, I was like, when you get up there, ask for the back. Because I do think that the back of the train is a lot more fun and exciting
it totally
than
is.
anywhere else on the train. So definitely try to ask for the back.
It, like
great intro roller coaster. I mean, like, I don't know, very fast, very fun, but not scary.
Yeah, no loops, nothing like too crazy. It's just fast and just fun. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. It's just a fun roller coaster.
It's so great.
I remember going with some kids that we used to babysit every so often. We ended up in Disneyland at the same time. And so we were like, we have to meet up. And they had obviously never been on this ride before. And the little girl who must have just hit the height requirement was like obsessed with it after she got off. She like wanted to go again right away. It was so fun.
It's a great ride.
So definitely a must do.
Oh yeah.
Next up we have Matterhorn bobsleds, which is a must do. However,
we were teetering on this one
yes,
a
we
little bit.
teetered. It is such a classic, and it is such a like.
It was the first tubular steel roller coaster ever.
Yeah. So it's like it's very special for that reason, and it's just the most classic mountain when you think of Disneyland. Like, you know, the Matterhorn Mountain. So it's like you have to go on it, but
and it's not found in Disney World.
yeah,
either.
there's exactly
which,
it is
if you are
specific to
there.
Disneyland. So it's special for that reason. Definitely go on it. I would not say like skip it because I feel like you need to experience Matterhorn, but it's they've refurbed it and like a lot of times at this point, and it still just jerks you around a lot, and you end up very very sore at the end of it. It's I don't know.
What I'm gonna say about it, and I mean, obviously it's such a classic. Matterhorn, I mean, that just the facade, but then also it being like one of the first roller coasters in that kind of light, but also like the equivalent to it, which is Expedition Everest in Animal Kingdom, which is an amazing, smooth, great ride. You feel like you're in a ride. Now bobsleds, like you're not sitting, and like your legs are kind of like
you feel really low
out.
to the
you
ground.
feel low to the ground. Like you actually feel like you're in a bobsled. Like that does bring an immersion level that even though it hurts, it's crazy. So when you get close to that Yeti,
it feels
like
very
you
close.
feel like you're not really on a ride. You feel like they just let you off at the top of the mountain. You're just kind of going down. So that's a really, really fun experience, and that's why we had to add it to this list.
And just seeing like just the views from the ride. I mean, you're going fast, so it's not like you're just gonna sit and admire the view. But it is just really fun because you do go up kind of high, so it's fun to like see the park from up there.
Yeah.
And I've heard, I don't think I've actually done it from Matterhorn, but I feel like at night, like during shows, could be really fun during Matterhorn. I know for Thunder Mountain, that's for sure the case.
I was just gonna go back saying Thunder Mountain and Splash Mountain. Try to get them. Try to get in line like maybe. That's tricky to say. Try to get on like right when the show starts, or like halfway through,
10 minutes into the shows.
Yeah,
because at that point you're like it's like halfway through, but you'll get to see some of the shows from on the ride, and it is like the coolest experience ever.
Whether it's the fireworks or Phantasmic.
So definitely we've been on Splash Mountain and Thunder Mountain for that.
Yeah, we haven't been on Matterhorn.
Haven't been on Matterhorn, but I think I've heard that is a really fun one for that experience too. So so going back to Matterhorn, it's a great ride. Also in the mountain there.
Oh yeah.
If you don't know this already, a little fun fact. There's a like basketball court and hoop that has been there forever since they were working on it, because the cast members that were in the construction crew that were working on it at the time used to go up there for their breaks and play basketball. And it has remained there.
And one of the big reasons why they did it is that, what's it called? Certain structures weren't allowed to be as high as like past a certain point unless it was like a sports structure. So they built a basketball hoop in there to say it was a sports structure, and then they were able to build it even higher. So crazy. So funny. So cool.
Such a great ride. Definitely a must do. You just have to do Matterhorn.
If you have back problems, it's a must not. Don't.
If you're going to seriously damage yourself on it,
maybe
sit it out. Neck or back could suffer.
It feels like Space Mountain in Walt Disney World. So if you're good with that, then you're good with this. Yeah,
exactly. So
which that actually brings us to the next one. This is definitely a must do. Space Mountain.
Such a fave.
In Disneyland is so amazing. If you are coming from Disney World, I think our Space Mountain, and I don't want to keep being like, our whatever, because Disney World has a lot of things that are better for sure. But our Space Mountain is very, very smooth. It has the speakers built into like literally right next to your head, and everything is timed to the music, which is perfect. But yes, our and let's say you've not done it before, Space Mountain is such a classic roller coaster at Disneyland. It feels so great. It is a little more intense than Thunder Mountain. Even it's just mainly because you can't really see too much.
It's dark and it's just a little bit
like it feels like if you get the back of this ride, it's high intensity. We would actually suggest getting the front of the ride for this one because you get to see you just get like you get a lot of that like air blown in your face and you get like such a cool perspective from there. But
I always leave this ride with like the most tangled hair ever. Like I always get off and I'm just like, how am I gonna brush my hair out? Because it's just so much wind, but it's so fun for that. Like it just adds to the fun of it.
Definitely top 5, maybe top
for sure
3. It's honestly the best. Yeah, I love Space Mountain. You need to do it.
Yes, for sure. Yes, definitely a favorite. Which brings us to our next, which is actually found in California Adventure, and it is Soarin' Around the World. Mm-hmm. Used to be Soarin' Over California, which can't lie was my favorite. Because it just made more sense here, in my opinion, because it was in California Adventure and everything is kind of themed that way. But Soaring Around the World is, it's amazing. Like, I mean, the technology cool in that ride is just so cool. Like, I don't remember if it was, it's in the Imagineering story where they talk about it and how the, the structure works as it goes up to the screen and stuff. It's just like amazing that they figured that out back then. And I will never forget the first time I rode that ride. It was like, it really blows your mind because you just like, I had never been on anything like that in my life. And I like, for a minute, seriously was like, am I like, are we literally like flying? Like I was so confused for a minute. It's so realistic. You feel the wind, like there's smells like, it's just, it really feels like you're flying over all of these beautiful scenes. And honestly, like one of my favorite rides. Yeah.
Man, for people who have not experienced it, I think this will blow them away probably the most because it is it's a ride unlike anything else. Like it is obviously a screen, but it's not like, I don't like screen-based rides, but this like moves and like pitches the ride vehicle to everything and
it's just beautiful. It's like relaxing and immersive,
like awe-inspiring. Like it takes your breath away at points.
Not,
you're like, oh.
Again, it's not a thrill ride by any means, but there's just something about it that just like sucks you in. It is so beautiful and fun. And
unlike any other ride, right? Like we've had roller coasters before, we've had dark rides before, we've had flume rides before, like water rides and everything. This was, I think, the first of its kind where, yes, we had Star Tours, which was a flight simulator, and you're shaking and doing all this stuff, but you're constantly in your seat. With Soaring Around the World, you're literally suspended off the ground, and you're turning and all this stuff to the
with the most beautiful music,
dome, kind of like that curved dome around you. And this is great. Also, another tip for this ride is that you're going to want to ask right when you're like at the end of the line and they're like pushing people
to where they're going to be getting on the ride, like when you're lining up for your exact queue.
Ask for the front row. You're going to want the front row. The best could be, I think, section B, which is the middle front row. So I guess B1, I guess you could call it. But if it is your first time, be like, can I have middle front? Yeah. Because it's my first time. They'll allow you to do that. Otherwise, just front anywhere.
You'll have all the feet dangling above you, and it takes away from the experience a little bit.
It does, yeah.
Get
the front.
Yeah, definitely. The front is the best for sure.
Next up, you could find this in Cars Land. I think one of the best rides, but I can't put it. I mean, I could still put it high up on my list, but obviously other rides are just more classic, so it kind of keeps this ride a little bit lower.
It could be a favorite because it's that good, but there are other ones that are just more classic.
I think it's one of the best rides.
It is.
Yeah, So it's Radiator Springs Racers. This ride is great. Another great roller coaster. Not quote unquote roller coaster.
Yeah.
It's not really a roller coaster, but there is a fast sequence in it. This is a great introduction to faster rides if you're going with kids. It starts off just with this beautiful scenic look around the most amazing land. I mean, in California Adventure,
The most amazing. Yes.
you're just going really slow, seeing the waterfall, seeing the structures, all this stuff. Then you enter and you're in this dark ride sequence, so you get to see all the amazing animatronics of the Cars characters. I mean, some of the best animatronics ever. So great.
They
and
look
then
just like the characters from the movie.
You'll be blown away. And then as you end, the ending is a race. So you get that thrill right at the end. Nothing too intense, so your kids will be totally fine. If you are from Disney World, they do not have Radiator Springs over there. So it's only found in Disneyland. So you're definitely going to want to do this. Almost like Test Track. Test Track does go faster, but what's it called? Radiator Springs Racers has just a lot better theming, in my opinion.
Yeah, totally.
But all around, you get these 3 sections: beauty of like the structures that the Imagineers created, dark ride sequence, and then a race.
Yeah,
the best.
It is.
I love this.
So good. It's great for any age,
Yeah.
but for kids, it's so great because it has like things that they love. Like it's themed around cars, which kids love that movie. I mean, so do we. But if it's a kid's first time on a ride like this, it's it's interactive like that. It's like a dark ride and a thrill ride all at the same time, and I feel like that's one of the only rides that's really
Not
like
too many
that.
do that. Yeah.
So it is 100% a must do.
This is very high up on musts for sure.
Yeah. With kids or without kids, you just have to do it. It's so much fun.
A tip here, the line does get very long. If you're going with kids, obviously you can't single rider. You don't want to send them on a car without you. But if you are just going as a couple, if you don't want to wait for the line, like you could do single rider.
Single rider is
we always
the
do
way
it.
to go.
You sit with random people, but it's fine.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Otherwise the line can be seriously like 2 hours sometimes. And it's like, it's a must do
like
enough
an hour and a half
that I would rather single ride for it than not go on it at all.
Exactly.
So single rider is a great option for this ride.
For sure.
And that leads us to our last one of this category, which is also in California Adventure. And it is Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout.
Yes.
So really fun ride. It took over Tower of Terror, which was my favorite. But Guardians of the Galaxy is such a fun ride. Definitely a thrill ride. It's a big drop.
For 40 inches, I was actually pretty shocked that it's labeled as 40 inches.
Yeah. So it's a big drop. It's like, it's not the type of drop from like Splash Mountain where you're like on a boat and you go down. It's like a full on like
up and down
drop ride, but so much fun. If you're into that kind of ride, some people, I realize this probably is a big like motion sickness or one of those that just gets you feeling sick. I get that, but if you can handle that type of ride, definitely a must do. It's so much fun. There's fun music to it. Like you get to see all the characters and it's just such a fun immersive ride.
As Tower of Terror, which we love so much, was more eerie and kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm like, it kind of evokes this like it could fall to my death kind of thing. Like this one is, because of the music and because of the random sporadic jumping drops and the launches, you have some launches straight up, it feels more fun.
Less scary.
Your lungs out, like, because you're having a great time.
Yeah.
And so this actually, I told my my boss's boss about this ride, and he has a younger daughter, and I just put this in there just for like the older kids, but he was like, oh, I took I took my youngest daughter as well, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I hope she didn't like hate Disneyland because of that. But apparently she had such a fun time, and I think she just hit the height requirement, and she was just loving that. That was one of her favorite rides because it does have such a fun energy to it,
Totally.
and it doesn't have like, since it's inside as well, I think that helps. It's not like you're outside and you're looking at how far you're dropping. You don't really know how far you're dropping because it is inside. So it's really like a very mild drop ride, but you still get that little like stomach flutter.
For sure.
Which is so awesome.
Totally. And yeah, because you mentioned that, I just was reminded of Maliboomer, which used to be there.
Oh yeah, that was it.
Which was totally outside. It was another drop ride, but it was like not enclosed at all. So you saw how high up you were going before you dropped. And it was so much scarier that way.
Oh yeah.
So Tower of Terror and Guardians, which are inside
doable.
a building, are so much more doable because you just don't know
really
exactly
fun,
how
yeah.
high up you are. And it's such a fun ride. Like, I mean, obviously scary, you know, if you don't like that stomach dropping feeling. So know your kids if you're going to, you know, if you're going to take them on it, just know that it is like a big long drop and your kids might freak out. So
yeah, there is a gift shop at the end, so just bribe them with a little gift.
Yeah.
And then right when you exit, just grab them a little
be
$5
like, I'll
thing
get you
and-
something at the end if you go on this.
Yeah, easy. That's
I
what my
remember
parents said. Yeah.
going on Tower of Terror for the first time, which it was a dropping ride, and I was not used to those, and I was terrified. I was so scared to go on it, and I went with my best friend at the time, and she forced me to go on it. And then as soon as I went on it, I was hooked, and I was like, let's just go again. Like,
Yeah.
it
It's
was so
really
much
doable.
fun. So
Comparatively, yeah, for sure.
definitely a must do.
Yeah. So there's actually 2 Instagram questions in this section.
Oh,
so they kind
yeah.
of bleed into the next one. But we asked our followers, because you could only do 4 different options on Instagram. So we wanted to split this up a little bit. These are, you know, within that 40 inches range. But we asked people, what is the best mountain? Now, this actually surprised me. Big Thunder Mountain actually took the cake. I thought Space Mountain was going to be, but Big Thunder Mountain took it with 40%. Space Mountain was very close behind with 38%. Splash Mountain was 17%, so we have a little bit of a drop there. It's probably some people don't really like getting wet. Some people are kind of,
Not
I don't
into
know,
that.
not
yeah.
into it. Maybe waiting for Princess the Frog, you know. And then Matterhorn came in at 4%.
4%.
So you could kind of tell there. A lot of people, I think it still deserves a place on the must-dos, but it is a little painful
Yeah.
if your body is like that. So obviously it's going to be the least favorite mountain. But it is probably my favorite thing to take pictures of because I love the Matterhorn.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah, so
It is.
definitely a good one. But yeah, do you want to get the thrill rides that aren't mountains?
Yes. So this is just overall best thrill rides in the park. So first one was Indiana Jones at 32%. The next on the list was Rise of the Resistance at 31%.
That's
so pretty close.
Close one.
1% difference there.
I think that 1% was people who have just been on Indiana Jones for like a majority of their life.
Yeah.
So it kind of had to stick out. Yeah.
Had to win, yeah. Next was Guardians Mission Breakout at 24%. And number 4 was Radiator Springs at 13%. So
And I think the reason why it was
that's a
so
tough
low
list.
was because Radiator Springs is a thrill ride, but
Not
I
as
think
much
people
as
were
the other
thinking
ones.
when they're answering this, like, thrill, that doesn't give me as much of a thrill as these other ones.
Yeah.
But I think Radiator Springs Racers is still like one of the best rides, even though it came low
Totally.
on that list.
Yeah,
but
it's not the most thrilling, I guess, but it is just overall amazing. But yeah, Indiana Jones took the cake on that, which brings us to our last category, actually, which is the 46 to 48 inch range, which is like
there's gonna be
the
like
tallest that you have to be. After this, it's a free for all. But first on the list was Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Indiana Jones is my favorite ride, and there's only 2 rides in this list because most are going to be sticking within that 40-inch range. But these ones are a little more thrilling. And so Indiana Jones is my favorite ride. This is one that is not found in Disney World. So if you've been to Disney World before and you're coming to Disneyland, you're going to want to check out Indiana Jones.
You guys have the Indiana Jones show in Hollywood Studios, and we have the ride.
And you have Dinosaur over in Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Same
that ride
system.
is great. Same ride system. But Indiana Jones opening in like the 80s, I believe. And just the queue, everything from like the queue. It feels like you're legit in a temple where if you touch something, something might go wrong. The best queue, the best immersion. And I think that's why I love Rise of the Resistance, because it has that similar Indiana Jones feel where the queue is so interactive. And even to a greater extent, but the fact that Indiana Jones was built so long ago and had such an immersive, amazing queue, you feel like you're in a perilous situation throughout the whole thing. And then the ride is it's not like a roller coaster if you haven't been on it. It is a dark ride. It is very fast, but it has like a very jerky movements. But unlike Matterhorn, you're not gonna hurt yourself.
It doesn't hurt. It's jerky,
like hydraulics.
But it catches before you would like there would actually be impact.
Yeah.
Like they did it so well to where it feels really like, you know, kind of
bumpy. Like you're in a Jeep.
Exactly,
Yeah.
but it's not painful.
But you're gonna love this one. It is know your kids, I guess, before you go on this one with them, because I mean there is like spiders and snakes and very intense situations, but it is so much fun. It's definitely my favorite ride, and it is a must do.
Yeah, it totally is a must do. It's not scary, but it is a little bit like spooky if you're a kid maybe, and you're just not like expecting it. It's so immersive and it feels so real that some kids might be a little freaked out by it.
Yeah.
But it is just an amazing adventure. It's like, I mean, it's hard to top Indiana Jones.
It is.
Like, it's such a good ride. My gosh.
I know. So perfect.
Okay. And that brings us to our last ride,
which is the tallest ride in all of Disneyland.
Yeah. So in this list, we had one Disneyland ride, and now we have one California Adventure ride, which is Incredicoaster. Yeah. R.I.P. California Screamin'. That was there not too long ago. That was the best. Incredicoaster is obviously Incredibles themed now. It's found like on Pixar Pier, basically. And it is just a really fun roller coaster. I mean, I don't really know how else to explain it. I think it was my first ever upside down roller coaster. Maybe not. I might have been on one at Six Flags.
The only upside down coaster in Disneyland.
In the park,
so
yeah.
If you're looking for that, that's why it's on the must-dos.
Yeah, and it has one fun big loop, but it's very quick, so it's not like super scary. Like if you're bringing a kid on it, it's not like super intimidating. We actually have a
good first coaster. First
upside
loop.
down.
Yeah, not coaster, but first good upside down. Yeah.
Yeah. We have some friends who were just there recently and brought their kids and their son. Oh my gosh.
I think he was 5 at the time.
I think he's 5.
A tall 5-year-old, I think.
Yeah. And he was like, he's just a thrill seeker, I guess. So he was like insistent that he was going to go on it. He went on Incredicoaster and he loved it.
Yeah.
At 5 years old. So if your kid is a thrill seeker like that, they for sure will love it because it's just enough thrill. It's like the perfect amount of thrill. It's fast. It's not painful or jerky. It's very smooth and
it has the launch too, which I think was the first and only launch. Like Space Mountain has one that it speeds up as you go, but it's a first like 0 to blast off launch. And only one that you could find in Disneyland. So we had to add this to the must-do list. The other thing, I think it's the only like shoulder restraint.
That's true.
Because of the loop. So that's like it's a must-do if you are a thrill seeker and you are wanting some loops, some fast launches, all this stuff. Very, very smooth for a like a pier themed coaster. So definitely had to be on our list.
Yes, for sure. It is a really, really fun roller coaster. I always want to go on it when we're there. Like
Yeah.
it's a sad one to miss because it's such a adrenaline rush. It's just really fun.
Yeah. So good. Well,
That's the end of our list.
that is, and there's obviously a lot more rides that, you might like even more than the ones that we listed. We just thought that these ones were definitely must-dos for someone who is going to the parks for the first time, or maybe someone who hasn't been in a very long time. So we would love to hear your guys' favorites down in the comments below, or if you're listening on podcast platforms, like hit us up on Instagram. But next week, we're going to be talking about all the must-dos at Walt Disney World. And we're just so excited that you guys are joining this this little series with us. And we have a lot more different like must-dos in the parks coming up. So thank you so much for listening. It means so much to us. And we will see you guys next week.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.